Well, as Tim the Tool Man Taylor would say, "Heidi ho, neighbor." I think it was him that said that. So it's Tuesday, the 23rd of December, headed for Christmas Eve tomorrow. Still pondering whether to do the 4 o'clock Mass or the midnight Mass. I would love to do the midnight Mass, but man, that's tough, midnight. So my name is Michael, and I'm broadcasting from my garage, located in St. Michael's Parish in the Pine Tree State's most powerful and divided city, Augusta, the political center of Maine. Every day, I begin by imploring the assistance of God's Archangel of War, St. Michael. So please pray with me if you can. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. St. Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and the other evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So, hey, good morning, Hitler. All right. So let's see. I'll show you that one. Who is this? True Slinger X. Oh yeah, that's the hilarious account. I guess I'm going to be dogged by a troll this morning. Lovely. And then he says, "God ain't listening."
Mike,
I love it.
you on the phone?
Yeah.
I just need a question. I need to ask you.
Huh? Hold on a second. What?
I need to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Christine needs to give the insurance the current mileage, but I'm not sure she knows how to find it on the screen. When she comes home today,
Yeah.
you help her to figure that out.
Yeah. Okay, taking care of some logistics here. One of these days, I'll take time to figure out how to block this guy. But anyway, in the meantime, welcome to my live stream. I'm not glad to have you. So, I'm a little late today. Normally I do this at 6 o'clock a.m. every day and enjoy it very much because I've always been a morning guy, getting up really early. And way back when I was leading the Christian Civic League of Maine, that's when I would catch up on the news, get ready for the day, and write an email that went out every day called the issue summary. Really enjoyed putting that out. And this morning I had to go late because I enjoyed breakfast with my sons at Bintless in Gardner. Can highly recommend that restaurant. The food is delicious. The coffee is great. They even have Guatemalan coffee, which I really enjoy the taste of. And well, here we go. My phone trolls are getting rolling here. So let me turn my phone off. Next thing that's going to happen, I don't want to give them any ideas, but I guess one of the popular things for the Jews to do, and those who want to censor the truth, is to send pizzas to your house. So I guess I'm not giving them any ideas. It's a common practice to frustrate and harass men who are interested in goodness, truth, and beauty, and in faith, hope, and love. So it goes with being on the internet, and you just learn to put up with it and keep law enforcement informed and we have to hope and pray that law enforcement stays on the side of the God-honoring Maine and American citizen. There's no promise for the future that that's going to continue. But right now, that seems to be the case, that law enforcement is bound by constitutional principles and statute. But, a lot of pressure is being brought to bear to change statutes so that they do violate the First Amendment and they do censor individual speech that is rooted in, motivated by a God-given right to speak one's conscience on religion and politics in public. So we don't know how that's going to go at this point. That whole censorship regime kind of started from the left, and now that seems to be kind of going through permutations. Don't know exactly how that's going to settle out. And the censorship is spinning up big time from the right wing of politics in Maine and America, rooted in the desire by Jews to shut down what they call anti-Semitism, which means me saying anything that they disagree with. If I say anything that the Jews disagree with, then I'm an anti-Semite. That obviously isn't going to work. That's not a definition of anything. That's just empowering a group over another group, or a group over individuals. Anybody who offends the group, the Jews in this case, is going to lose their all their rights. They'll be fired, which has happened to me. I can't work for FedEx anywhere on earth for minimum wage for the rest of my life. And that was spun up by Jewish, do you want to call them ethics, Jewish evil, satanic evil, the kind of evil that I just prayed against in St. Michael's prayer. Oh, let me check out the comments and see how the troll is doing. Oh, he's got all kinds of stuff going on here. Good for him. And I watched a great YouTube the other day, which I want to watch with you this morning, produced by Grace. I don't know her last name. The channel on YouTube is Truth Stream Media, but I've been following them for probably 10 years. They started to broadcast and produce excellent quality sort of documentary style videos, I think shortly after 9/11, and they were growing a channel while it was possible on YouTube to practice free speech. And then their channel hit what a lot of truth-telling channels hit in terms of the censorship. And they may have lost their monetization by now, but they certainly watched their numbers decline on YouTube, but they've stayed faithful. Her husband, Aaron, I think when they lost their monetization, if they did, but anyway, they lost their numbers on YouTube. He was forced into the workforce. Before that, the two of them were working together on videography and production. And they just put out an excellent video that goes deep on internet culture and culture in America more broadly. And I want to watch that with you and make some comments along the way. So just another housekeeping note. Tomorrow is the day before Christmas, so I will broadcast tomorrow morning. I doubt if I will broadcast on Christmas morning, but who knows? 6 o'clock if I do. And then I will, as far as I know, broadcast at 6 a.m. on Friday. So let me bring this up. All right. This is Aaron and Grace with TruthStream Media.
I keep struggling to try to figure out what's going on. I guess the past decade or so of society, it's been kind of like being at a Louis Boonwell family birthday party. And, the first hour, it's kind of cute and cheery, and we could all clap and be like, surprise, presents. The second hour, there was cake in the second hour. I mean, not in the Boonwell movie, but maybe in our version. It was all right, but it's starting to get a little tedious. But by the fifth hour, it was hell. Why are we still here? And now that we're in like the 37th hour, we're really just hostages, and it really sucks. Like, we're completely exhausted, and yet they want us to be like, just have a little patience. Things are going to get good. Let's wait and see how this next phase of the paradigm is going to be. AI could be really fun. Like,
Hey, everybody. It's Melissa. I'm still here. I guess I'm still here. I don't know. I don't know how many of you out there can still hear me. Am I talking to people right now?
Anybody listening out there?
I hope I'm still talking to actual human beings, because at this point, the same cannot be said for some of these social media bubbles, which are just replete with obvious bots.
Are you even getting these? Because how the would I know?
I really don't want to continue to communicate on there. I really don't at all. Not in any way, because I feel like at this point, I don't know if I'm even talking to anyone who's real on there anymore, who's an actual human. I don't know how any of us do.
All those people that you're constantly arguing with in the comment section of videos, all those profiles with 0 followers, no display picture, following 1,000 people. Well, you ain't arguing with a person.
I think we're trusting it still that we are, but if I was told suddenly, like if a crew flipped the lights on and they went, ding, oh, here's what's really going on, take a look around, and it was just an empty room of no people, that really wouldn't surprise me at all. I would be like, well, in a way that makes sense, because the amount of gaslighting that's been happening lately. I mean, I guess if I just posted cat videos that didn't mean anything to the future, then I wouldn't be treated that way. And I have people, I think they're people, I don't know for sure, writing me. But even if these comments weren't coming in, I've seen it enough for myself happening in the world to know that it's a thing that's starting to happen. I just want to throw this out there because I find it really sums up the situation, I feel, as an example. Last year, Americans spent $2.6 billion on OnlyFans. The majority of the people using OnlyFans, 80%, are male. And many subscribers, according to studies and reports I've seen, are doing this for direct personal conversation. They're not just doing it for naughty pictures of people. They actually want to have a conversation with someone. They just want to have an emotional connection or a conversation with somebody that they find attractive. This is a study that came out back in the spring, and it said that messages drive almost 70% of the revenue on that site. But that talking has now been outsourced as well. And there's a whole article on Wired about being a secret OnlyFans chatter. They're hiring people from third world countries to take this over, and they're paying them $2 an hour.
So to keep subscribers happy and willing to spend, agencies, or sometimes the creators themselves, hire chatters that text for them. These workers handle several chats at the same time, often simply by copy-pasting phrases between the chats. And there are even manuals for specific client wishes, often dubbed JOIs, jerk-off instructions.
That's what she said.
To pretend to be these people that people are paying all this money for to have these emotional connections with. It's not even the person they think they're talking to. And now all of that is about to be outsourced to AI. So
am I single? Maybe. But also technically I'm stored on a server in Iowa.
I mean, this feels like a slow motion horror film. It says, for the Eliza Effect Boogaloo 2 video you made. So I made a couple of videos on the Eliza Effect and how it's being used to trick humans into thinking they're talking to something that's intelligent when it's not in some of these AI that people are communicating with. I shared it on Facebook, so I don't want to post this comment on YouTube in case someone I love sees it and I hurt their feelings. So I'm posting it here being X. I am noticing a disturbing trend in family and friends. It's painful, genuinely, truthfully painful. I'm getting long, disingenuous, robot-like paragraphs about everything, from personal issues within family to things I really just don't care about that seem extremely important to people who know nothing about the subject they're sending me a message about. So before I read the rest of it, that's creepy. If you all of a sudden had a family member that started sending you chat GPT paragraphs, how would you know you were still even communicating, like on text messages or social media messages? How would you know you were even talking to your family anymore? At some point, you wouldn't feel like you were. You would feel like your family member got body snatched. You would feel like you were in a science fiction movie. Why are they sending people messages like that? I have family members who are doing this too. They send big, long threads of messages that seem completely disconnected from each other, that also seem completely disconnected from reality. And I don't know even how to respond to it. So I've stopped responding to it because I don't know if that's my family member anymore that I'm communicating with. And I'm sorry if saying that sounds crazy, but at this point, we're living in some kind of crazy world. You're not hallucinating that everything is weird. Everything is weird.
So this is why I call what you think of as social media, anti-social media. One of the practices that I started early on with the internet and with the computer is to not allow myself to use the internet as if it's truly social in any kind of a human sense. I felt that way from the time Facebook spun up. And then shortly after that, so I never really used Facebook. I never dove into the deep end of the pool. I still haven't. And now at this point, I probably never will. What I've used Facebook for and what I'm using X for over the last year and a half or so, when I started to use a social media platform, which is X, is I think of it and use it as media. So I don't do much commenting. I don't do hardly any commenting. What I do on X is, even though nobody sees what I post on X, because of the algorithm throttling my account. For example, I've made something like 14,000 posts since the beginning, but most of that was in the last year or two. And I've only got 1,000 subscribers, and it bounces between 1,050 and 1,015 or so. But it never goes over 1,050. And I don't do any of the marketing stuff. I don't tag people as a rule. I don't do the hashtag thing. Maybe I'd do better if I did do that, but my reasoning there is it's media, and I kind of want the people who follow me or who see my thoughts on this form of media. I want them to have a sort of investment of choosing to see it. I don't want to come blazing into their feed all the time because I've learned how to tag effectively and I've learned how to whatever these mechanisms are. Comment, there's just the amount of right way with the right kind of things. I've never gone there. And I don't think in fact, I know I never will, because it's not social media, it's anti-social media. And I think the people who become most vulnerable to being played, being social engineered or having the psyop run on their consciousness, on their thinking, and on their habits are the ones who are living in the comments and who are working overtime to develop the perfect sort of profile and to create the perfect privacy settings within Facebook, et cetera, so that when they do make those selections about who sees what and who doesn't in terms of groups and profiles, et cetera, that they're actually shaping an identity that in the real world when they aren't. They aren't. The only thing you should be doing with Facebook or X or any of these platforms is thinking of it as media. If you can use it in such a way that you make money, good for you. Like on Marketplace or whatever, if you're making money, if your income is coming from your strategic use of media, nothing wrong with that. Where you make yourself vulnerable is going too deep in the comments, going too deep in the replies, going too deep in the thinking of yourself as developing a social relationship with anybody. The only people you can develop social relationships with are people you know in the real world. You know that something is true because it is consistent with reality. In other words, it fits what's real. Truth is real. Truth comports with reality. You'll know that you're not pursuing the truth and you're not living according to the truth if you're allowing if reality isn't defining truth, if the two aren't become disconnected, if they're not compatible with one another. And I would argue that to the extent you think of media as social, you're breaking with truth and you're breaking with reality. And what Grace is explaining here or illustrating is the fact that the social dynamic, so-called social dynamic of media online is now beyond toxic. I would argue it's always been toxic right from the beginning. It was intended to be toxic, especially when the internet spun up the business model of funding your surrender of data points regarding your life, your private life, your every aspect of your life, images, opinions, back and forth, audio now, video now. The minute you went deep into doing that on any of these American big tech platforms, you played into this whole monetization of the internet, paying the bills using advertising. So what you're paying, the amount that you're paying to Facebook, Google, whatever, is you're paying with who you are. You're paying with you're surrendering your identity, especially your private identity, because it's those private data points that give them the most important data points for developing a psychological profile on you. And now we know, of course, that the intelligence agencies have weaponized those data points through the work of Palantir, Peter Thiel, a homosexual, Alex Karp, not sure what his sexual proclivities are, but he just bought a Trappist monastery and 3,700 or 3,900 acres in the beautiful Rocky Mountains of Colorado for, I don't know, $150 million, something crazy amount of money. Well, I guess that's not a crazy amount of money now, because none of us think anything's real in financial terms unless we're talking at least billions of dollars and probably trillions of dollars. So the whole number go up ideology or idea of economics has now reached gone beyond the level of absurdity. And a lot of good people are tuning out. They're tuning out of social media, as they should. Some are turning in cell phones for flip phones. Some are deleting accounts on Facebook, and I don't know what the numbers are, but I hear about it all the time. And they're orienting their life toward the reality, toward real life, people they can meet, neighbors, family, friends, coworkers, and prioritizing time with and conversations with these people in their lives instead of the people they'll never meet and who they have come to know through social media. So too early to know how this is going to shake out, because I believe that the timetable that's being run here is about a decade, and it started in 2020 with the global shutdown, and we're now moving into the 6th year after that. And I think they learned so much that surprised them, these globalist powers that ought not be. I think they learned so much that surprised them, like with the masking and the 6-foot distancing and all of the illogical, unreasonable, unscientific rules and laws and expectations and narrative that emerged in 2020. They learned how compliant we can be because of our misplaced trust in government. So what's going to happen in the next 4 years? None of us know, but it's beyond troubling to me because of what we're seeing everywhere. Everywhere you turn, what we're seeing is beyond troubling. And Grace in this video is poking the bear of the problem. And let's continue.
It is weird.
And it seems that, yes, indeed, Carl the Head Rabbitilian has acquired the microlithic cuboid of ancient luminous wisdom.
I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, I feel like 20 years ago, if I had said that, there'd be a psychologist out there saying, yep, she needs meds. We need to put her somewhere. But you can't, if everything goes insane, the base level of normal reality that you're using to justify what is insane versus not insane will be completely erased. There will be no way to tell anymore what's.
So let's go back here a little bit.
Oh, what else to say about that? I mean, I feel like 20 years ago, if I had said that, there'd be a psychologist out there saying, yep, she needs meds. We need to put her somewhere. But you can't.
So this guy right here, who I hope and pray I never meet, never in the same room with, this is Alex Karp. Maybe you've never heard of him. He works with or for Peter Thiel, who's one of the tech bros, one of the most important tech bros. He was with Elon Musk when PayPal was created in a California office building. And PayPal went on to be, was purchased by eBay, I believe, and much money was exchanged hands there. And some of it went to Elon. I don't know if Karp was around then, but this guy's Alex Karp. He fancies himself to be kind of like Thiel, a bit of a philosopher. You know, the name Palantir comes from Lord of the Rings, and it's the orb. If you've seen the movie or read the book, it's the orb, the all-seeing orb where Sauron is able to see into your geography, where you are, into the room where you are. He's able to see in there, and you're able to talk to him. And you may remember the scene where the Palantir was covered by a blanket, and Sauron uncovered the Palantir, and Gandalf was there, and it was very ominous. Gandalf realized that he was in the presence of an all-seeing evil, and there was a conflict right between Gandalf and Saruman, and he ended up flying up into the tower and being imprisoned at the top of the tower. You may remember that scene. So this guy here, Alex Karp, is the leader, CEO, I think, of Palantir. And Palantir is the private corporate American entity, which is the top layer of assembling all the data points that they're able to acquire by hook or by crook about you, and putting it into a singular data set that can then be crawled by algorithms and artificial intelligence. And those data points can be used to create a psychological and a visual profile so that from satellites, they can follow you from above without even seeing your face based upon how fast you walk, other characteristics that they're able to put together from multiple videos that have been assembled or taken without your express knowledge. You've signed off on all this stuff in terms of service, which you never read. None of us read. Who's got the time to read those things? But you sign off on those videos being created and stored and sold, actually, to third parties. So Walmart is doing this. I imagine all the big retailers are, or will be very soon. And then these data points are assembled into databases and crawled by algorithms and artificial intelligence. And this is the guy, Alex Carr, who gets to spend the first 4 or 5 hours of his day jogging and skiing and being this super physically fit human because he's literally probably a multi-billionaire. These people know nothing. They have no awareness of you and the world that you live in. And not only do they not care, but they have a vision for the world that you live in. They have a vision, and they have the power now and the money to bring that vision to reality while they purchase monasteries that for the last 70 or 80 years have been the site of Trappist monk prayers and spiritual practices. And now this guy here, Karp, is turning that into his private and personal home. And I'm sure, probably he's thinking he's bringing some kind of synchronicity to his existence, some kind of spirituality. He's putting himself in, bringing himself power beyond money through this sense of his own soul, his own through his sense of his own soul, and kind of creating his own religion, right? So he's to quote John Milton, he's choosing to rule in hell, the emphasis on rule in hell, rather than serve in heaven. I would much rather be dirt poor and suffering, choosing every day, every second, every minute, every hour to serve in heaven, not rule. I don't get to rule. None of us get to rule in heaven. God alone rules in heaven. That's one of the points of the sacraments in Christianity, is the sacraments teach us through a lifetime after baptism and catechesis, teach us through real experiences over a lifetime to form good habits, good attitudes, a proper perspective toward God and heaven. We serve forever in heaven. We don't rule. God rules. God's in charge. This is God's universe. This is God's world. We are given the honor and privilege of serving and suffering in his universe and in this world. We don't rule. If you think you're ruling, you are ruling in hell. That's what you're doing. Like this guy, Alex Carr. You are ruling in hell.
If everything goes insane, the base level of normal reality that you're using to justify what is insane versus not insane will be completely erased. There will be no way to tell anymore what that is. That's the world we're entering into with all of this technology. We're looking at videos coming out of our government right now telling us what's going on in the Caribbean, and the only thing we have to know if any of that is true is our trust in that government and what it is saying to us.
And we fixed inflation, and we fixed almost everything, if you want to know the truth.
Unless you were in the Caribbean at that moment. Unless you were there to physically witness it with your eyeballs, physically there in a boat off to the side and you saw it. All you get is hearsay. That is what you really have. That's all we have. Those videos could be AI. That's the truth.
The future of American warfare is here, and it's spelled AI. As technologies advance, so do our adversaries. But here at the War Department, we are not sitting idly by. Under the leadership of President Trump, America will lead the charge on this technological transformation by revolutionizing the way we win. And that's why today we are unleashing GenAI.mil.
I'm not saying that they are, but I'm not saying they're not either. That's the world we live in. That's the level we're at. So that's where we are. And I got people writing me or messages that I'm receiving, but I also am seeing it with my own eyes. So it feels like probably this is a real message, but maybe that's just confirmation bias. I mean, see how this is? I can't even do a video right now. That's the world we're in. It's getting incredibly hard to communicate these things. I just had to add something in here really quick, and you might hear my washing machine going in the background right now. Sorry about that. But because I want to give an example. I want to give an example of what it is that I'm trying to say so that you know exactly what I mean by this. I will text a family member or something. Like they'll send me something, and it's like they want my response, right? About something that's going on in the world. They initiated this conversation, not me. So keep that in mind. I will write back with something real, something I feel, something that I think and feel that is meaningful to the conversation. It actually applies, and it's a deep statement going into that, whatever that is. I'm going in, I'm going to actually say something that matters. It's going to be on a level, it's going to be on several levels probably, because that's how I communicate. These people will write me back with complete non sequiturs. Like they won't even pretend like they understood or addressed, like, and then whatever it is, it's like, hey, have you heard of this new product? It's a really good product. I really like it.
Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
Who are you talking to?
And then the next message will be like, hey, the weather's pretty good right now. Smiled. There's some winds out of the west at 8 miles an hour. Or here's a cat video. This is really funny. I like it a lot. It's funny, charming, and sweet. Like what? Like I'm looking at my freaking text messages and I'm going, did they get replaced? Like, am I talking? Is this person still my family member? Is this still a person I know? Is this somebody else? Has my phone been hacked? Okay. Has my phone been hacked? And that's not even my family member anymore. And is this just a program running in my phone now? What is this? It's as if I never said anything. And most especially family members who cannot snap out of this left-right paradigm parody, which is what it is anymore. It's a parody. If I say anything that even remotely is not in line with whatever that is, oh my.
Left-right parody. That's what we're living in, right? Republican, Democrat parody, left, right, red, blue. There's only two choices. History is circular. It's just going around and round. This is an idea that was popularized by Hegel's philosophy from the early 19th century, which posited that there's a thesis and then there's a reaction, an antithesis, and that all leads to a synthesis, and then the circle starts all over again. So we are conditioned and psyoped and social engineered to think in terms of the left gaining power and then the right gaining power, and then they debate and argue for a little while. And out of that comes this political or religious or philosophical synthesis. And then it cycles around again, and then it just keeps going round and round and round. So that's where we're at. It's not the truth because it's not reality. And for us to know the truth has to fit with what's real. And what's real is that history started at a certain time, and it's going to end at a certain time, and it's proceeding in a straight line. And it's going from bad, not to worse, but or maybe bad's not the right word, but it's going someplace good which is defined by God. And so when you live through a period of history like we just did over the last 200 years, where hundreds of millions of people are murdered through war and ethnic cleansing and genocide by all sides, it's tempting to think that God is dead, which was the point of the narrative that came out of World War II, promoted by Elie Wiesel in his book Night, is that because of the Holocaust, because of the Jews that were persecuted and killed in the labor camps, they renamed them concentration camps because it helped the optics, helped the marketing. But they were labor camps. The people who occupied Auschwitz and Dachau and all those camps produced munitions, whatever. They did labor for the war effort in Germany. And so, you know, it's tempting to want history to be circular, but it isn't. It's going someplace good according to God's will. And he allows, but he never creates or produces or does evil. That's not in his nature. He can't do that. But he permits evil. He permitted Satan to exist after Saint Michael won that battle in the heavenlies. And we're taught within the Christian religion that this world is Satan's domain. He's the controller. He is indeed powerful in the world. And we escape that power. We survive in the suffering. We move toward heaven instead of hell eternally by learning to suffer well. That's what Christianity teaches us. And why does it teach us that? Because our leader, Jesus Christ, provided that example. He was murdered, tortured and murdered at 33 years of age. He was a young man, prime of his life. He suffered. He taught us how to suffer. That's what the gospel message is. It's about suffering. It ends in a worldly sense. It ends in suffering with the mortal death of Jesus Christ. And then Jesus Christ transcends that mortal death. But his mortal death, which we all experience, included torture, crown of thorns, flogging, the cross, pierced hands with nails and feet with nails, hanging on the cross, sword in his side. I mean, a tremendously bloody and awful death at the hands of the Pharisees and Sadducees, the leadership of the Jews, and the Romans. He's the second person of the Trinity. He's a person. God is a person. He's the second person of the Trinity. God the Father is the first person of the Trinity, and the Holy Spirit is the third person of the Trinity. And God, we get to know God over a lifetime through suffering. And if we learn to suffer well, then we're living out a Christian example. And we have to return to this consciousness. And I think we are going to. I think we are going to return to this consciousness, because the whole narrative that's being spun up now by the hegemon of the planet, namely the empire, the last empire, the last empire to exist under the old paradigm, which is passing away now, is the United States of America. And the rest of the world outside of the United States of America and Israel, they are already in negotiations to move forward with a multipolar world, a world where that is designed. I think this is the BRICS. This is how BRICS is talking. That is designed to be multipolar. It's not designed to be unipolar, to have a hegemon or an empire. Now, will it succeed in squashing the impulse to empire? Who knows? Nobody knows the future except for God. But this does seem to be an important characteristic of BRICS is multipolarity, where the 180 or so nations of the world are equally sovereign and have rights as sovereign nations to create their own laws, etc., and to be their own nation states, their own nations, and they don't have to suffer the slings and arrows of a hegemon, which, like the United States of America. I think that's over. That world is over. You might want to think of it as the colonial world. Colonialism is one word that's somewhat helpful historically and politically. Appears to be still with us, especially through the projection of power by the United States of America. But I see that changing. I see that dying, actually, that reality dying. And I celebrate that. America wasn't designed to be an empire. Our Constitution isn't made to govern an empire. Just the opposite. It's written to protect the rights of individuals and states over the national government. The constitutions of our states and of the United States at the federal level are written to protect the rights, the legal rights, the God-given rights of individuals and lower levels of governance, like your local school board, or like your local city council, or your local selectmen. Our constitutions are written to empower the lowest levels of our civilization, of our republic. So, and I think you're going to see the reemergence, perhaps a new flowering of these principles as we proceed, and as people turn off their smartphones, turn away from their smartphone, take away the social media from their children, force their children to develop and to become truly human as children, passing through childhood, through puberty into adulthood. I see things changing, going to change slower than we expect, given the fact that we're all psyoped and socially engineered into this nanosecond dopamine rush communication style. Our expectations of communications is instant. If it's not instant, then we're getting frustrated or angry or whatever. But I think that's going to change. I think things are already starting to slow down, and they need to slow down a lot, don't they? This is a good thought, a good thing to be thinking about and talking about this week of Christmas, is slowing down and really appreciating those we love, and really respecting and honoring and loving our neighbors. Maybe even, well, not maybe, but loving our enemies. What does that mean? We need to think about that if we're Christians, because Jesus Christ told us that's what we got to do. We got to love our enemies. So we got to, we need to think about this over time, not in a nanosecond, not in a post, not in a hot take, but as part of our sanctification over weeks and months and years. We need to think about what that means to love our enemies, because that's a commandment from God to us as Christians. And I see it emerging as an important part of, so look at this, StreamYard showing me I've got 12 comments hidden over here. They're all, let's see what they are. Trolls. Let's see. We got some trolls. We got a good guy in here posting. Yeah. So he's seeing, I don't know how, oh, he's seeing it on X. So the comments show up in the comment stream below this live stream on X. So I see Richard Hale is over there arguing with the troll, or talking to the troll, trying to decide whether I want to put it embedded into the live stream. I see a troll. Yeah. Steve Bannon talks about it all the time on the War Room. Yeah. Trans. Yep, I'm trying to follow you. Yeah, you should. Okay. Oh, they're doxing the names of my children and my grandchildren too. Look at that. Morning. What time did you begin, sir? I started at 9. I was late, so that's Shane Mitchell. Just he comes in most times, most days. So Shane Mitchell. Good to go, Mike. So this is interesting. So I'm seeing this and thinking I can, protect my family from doxing, but it's on X. This troll he threw out my cell phone number, which I don't try to hide it, but I don't make it real public. And now he's thrown out the names of all of my grandchildren. That's really, and it's on X and there's nothing I can really do about it. Which brings up, so yeah, thanks, Richard. Brings up something interesting that I learned this week about X. There's a guy a family man, a good guy, who created the Samurai wallet, which is a privacy wallet for Bitcoin. And it was real successful. And it appears from hearing his testimony that the case that the government made against him, which ended up with a plea deal, which sends this young family man to prison for 5 years. And this is the prosecution by the Justice Department. The Justice Department took memes that this man on his X account posted, satirical, it's kind of typical X culture sort of memes, and they spun the memes against him. So they were memes, right? They were sarcastic, whatever. And he thought they were funny at the time. For example, he memed about the Russian mafia using the Samurai wallet. And it was obviously a meme. It wasn't an advertisement, but what the Justice Department argued is that it was a confession or an advertisement. It was part of a marketing strategy to attract the Russian mafia to use the Samurai wallet. And that was never his intention. But it was an X post. It was a meme on X, and it's one of the big sources of evidence that ended up putting him in prison. He reported to prison a couple days ago, and he's being put for an undetermined amount of time in the most dangerous prison in New York City. And he's just a kind of guy like us, like me, like you, and not like my troll here who's willing to dox on the internet my grandchildren. He just seems like a good soul family man. And so he's headed to prison for 5 years. And it's because the American Justice Department had no interest in justice. They had an agenda. They showed no propensity to concern themselves with the real evidence, and the judge had an axe to grind, and X played a role in that. So here I am having to deal with the fact that my grandchildren's names are doxed on my X account. So yeah, it's as I'm learning from being from enjoying Tim Bodnar's company and his strategy tactics on X, it can go places that you don't anticipate. Like a week ago yesterday, his 32,000 follower X account was suspended, supposedly permanently, as a result of allies, namely Steve Robinson and Matthew Gagnon, contacting X and claiming wrongly that Tim violated trademark stuff. So this has become so toxic that it's breaking up allies that are doing good work independent of one another. So, interesting. So now my troll is saying, so my wife just left my garage and he just wrote, did you know, I'll put it up here for him. I'm sure he'll be happy about it. So did you know the license plate on your car was visible when it just backed out? Might want to fix that if you're worried about privacy. And then, yeah, man, being a hate group on X is tough. Poor you, Mike. Okay. Great. So obviously the purpose of this kind of thing is to intimidate and harass, but it's interesting to me that he claims that, well, he saw that, what is it, a satellite? Does he have a camera across the street? I mean, you see how we start thinking? And that's the way it is now, that the intelligence agencies have been granted so much power over us, by us. So, well, thank you. According to StreamYard, I've got 17 people watching. I have no idea if I should trust that number because of look what's happening here with True Slinger X. This account has stolen Tim Bodnar's identity and has now made me, obviously, a target. So perfect. I'm so happy. I'm flattered. All right. Hopefully I've provided something helpful to you as you live into this science fiction dystopia future that we've spun up for ourselves. Let's end with prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.